Good evening, everybody. We are ready to begin the meeting. Please call the meeting to order.
Mrs. De Silva.
Here.
Mr. Valentine.
Here.
Mrs. Gillis.
Here.
Mrs. Messick.
Here.
Mrs. Rigby.
Here. The Treasurer Pro Tem, it is recommended to appoint Tyson Hodges as Treasurer Pro Tem for the board meeting only, this board meeting only. Appointment to terminate automatically upon close of the meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Valentine, second by Mrs. De Silva. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Valentine.
Yes.
Mrs. De Silva.
Yes.
Mrs. Gillis.
Yes.
Mrs. Messick.
Yes.
Mrs. Rigby.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of the regular minutes. It's recommended to approve the May 12th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Valentine. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Gillis. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Valentine.
Yes.
Mrs. Gillis.
Yes.
Mrs. De Silva.
Abstain.
Mrs. Messick.
Yes.
Mrs. Rigby.
Yes. Motion passes 4-0 with one vote to abstain. Approval of the regular work session minutes. It's recommended to approve the May 22nd, 2025 regular work session minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. De Silva. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Messick. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. De Silva.
Yes.
Mrs. Messick.
Yes.
Mr. Valentine.
Yes.
Mrs. Gillis.
Yes.
Mrs. Rigby.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Motion to approve this evening's agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Valentine. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. De Silva. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Valentine.
Yes.
Mrs. De Silva.
Yes.
Mrs. Messick.
Yes.
Mrs. Gillis.
Yes.
Mrs. Rigby.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Public participation. There is no one signed up for public participation this evening. So we will move on to the public hearing on the retire, rehire of board employees. In the months of April and May, we published notice to the public that the board would be considering the reemployment of certain employees following those employees' retirement through the state retirement system. Today, we are holding a public meeting to allow us to hear from any members of the public who wish to express themselves on this issue. The board will not take any action on this issue this evening. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to hear from you. Before we get started, I will briefly share with you the timeline relevant to these retire-rehire considerations before the board. First, notice was published in order to notify the public of which employees are considering retirement, when they are considering retirement, and the fact that the board will be considering the reemployment of those employees in the same position following their service retirement. On April 25th, 2025, we published notice to the public of the following: that Superintendent Dr. John Marshausen is considering retiring on or about August 1st, 2025, and is seeking reemployment in the same position of superintendent following his service retirement. That Mike Allring, Director of Secondary Building Leadership and Professional Development, is considering retiring prior to the start of the 2025-2026 school year and is seeking reemployment in the same position of Director of Secondary Building Leadership following his service retirement. And that teacher David Stroh is considering retiring prior to the start of the 2025-2026 school year and is seeking reemployment in the same position of teacher following his service retirement. On May 6, 2025, we published notice to the public of the following: that Kathy Parker Jones, Pre-K through 12 Coordinator of Digital and Personalized Learning, is considering retiring prior to the 2025-2026 school year and is seeking reemployment in the same position of pre-K through 12 coordinator of digital and personalized learning following her service retirement. And that the following teachers are considering retirement prior to the 2025-2026 school year and are seeking reemployment in the same position of teacher following their service retirement: Lisa Krimmel, Tracy Guerin, Lisa Guzik, Chad Isley, Deb Maynard, Sue Neely, Terry Ray, Molly Sestelli, and Matt Tisdale. Section 3307.353 of the Ohio Revised Code provides for a public meeting on the issue of employees of the board being rehired in the same position after retirement. We are ready now to hear from any members of the public who wish to express themselves on this issue. Our normal rules provide for a total of 30 minutes of public participation, and we plan to abide by that rule, but will consider extending that time if needed. So with that, is there anyone in the public here this evening who wishes to comment? Okay, well, we thank you very much. And as I mentioned at the beginning, the board will not take any action on this issue tonight. State law requires us to wait at least 15 days after this meeting before the board takes action. Our next board meeting is on June 26, 2025, and we anticipate considering the reemployment of Dr. Marshausen, Mr. Allring, and Mr. Stroh at that meeting. We then anticipate considering the reemployment of the others we mentioned at the following meeting. Thank you. Okay, so we will move on to Board of Education committee reports. Does anybody have anything tonight they want to share? No. Okay.
I will just share that DEF is having their mix and mingle on Thursday evening this week.
Okay, great. Thank you. We don't have a student representative tonight, so we will welcome our new members at our next meeting. And that brings us to reports and action items from the superintendent's office. Dr. Marshausen.
Thank you, Mrs. Rigby. About 2 weeks ago, we had our first launch of our Press Pause series. This is an effort spearheaded by Cassie Dietrich and our communications department, but with significant participation from Mr. Andrus, Mr. Wolf, and their team, and many experts from within our community, but outside the school district, who are also part of this Press Pause series. There will be several ongoing podcasts that are both video and audio that are in a conversational tone, and I am pleased at the response from our community and the fact that this series is now gaining attention from others at the state level as a way to engage parents. And our ultimate goal with Press Pause isn't to dictate how things happen. It's to share resources with moms and dads. It's to have those conversations take place on the sidelines at soccer games or at the pool as parents look at, what are you doing? What should we be doing? And we heard from every one of our engagement groups, from our BAC to our grandparents who are senior citizens, that they wanted some guidance and some guardrails that would allow them to have meaningful conversations as parents and guardians and families as to what's going on. I am really happy with the number of people who are tuning in, and some of the comments are just deeper than I would have anticipated on social media, and they're being shared with me as I'm not the one who's on those social media accounts. But it's cool how we really are generating what we wanted, and that's to have folks talk about this. As you'll see in our handbooks tonight, we are anticipating that the cell phone bill that right now has been passed by both houses as it goes through the conference committee process will be passed in time and will be in a position that it doesn't require a policy change for us. There was always a line in our policy that said if permitted for a specific purpose, students could have phones out. but we don't have to change policy to say no cell phones during the school day. And we've been having lots of conversations, and the response from mom and dad have been more positive when I share that when you get on an airplane and the flight attendant says the forward door's closed, please power down your phone or put it in airplane mode. That's what we're going to ask kids to do during the school day, is power down your phone, put it in airplane mode, put it away, so that you can be attentive to what's happening in school. At the end of the day, if you're on your way from a building to Emerald, of course you can have your phone and use your GPS and do those things that you would normally do. It's while in school, during the school day, we want to promote that attentiveness in class. This will be an ongoing series all summer, and it will really lead into some of our efforts as we talk about embracing the journey as we kick off the 25-26 school year. We also have extended school year and summer programs going on throughout the district. We have K-12 ESY at Bailey and Kaufman. We have literacy and math interventions in summer school at Hopewell and Grizel. We've got a ton of kids here for credit recovery and from our Rise Up program, which only continues to grow thanks to our partnership with the National Retail Federation. And we have life sports going on at Indian Run. So we've got a lot of people engaged. We are very proud of the fact that some of our paraprofessionals who are employed this summer are our very own Teacher Academy students who went through and got their credentials so that they could be employed during the summer. And I only see things like that continuing to grow in opportunities for our kiddos to continue to get experiences while they're still high school students or recent grads in the field that they want to be. I'm not going to read this list, and Mr. Stark has probably PTSD if I put this up and ask him to talk about all this. But these are the things going on right now in our district when it comes to summer programs. Every time I get a chance to drive across Hard Road, I pop into Scioto. It is absolutely amazing the amount of work taking place at Scioto High School. And to think that a year from now we'll be ready to move people into the addition and be prepared to open that addition in the fall of 26. Ton of work to do, but we've done it before. Our preschool's ready almost to be turned over to us, if I'm correct. And we're on schedule at Bishop to be able to do that by the beginning of August. So we're excited about everything that's going on. If you come to visit us here, we're down to one elevator right now because the guys, and it's crazy because sometimes the elevator shafts open and you can look and peek to what they're really rewiring, rebuilding. It'll be whole new cards, whole new wires. It's been kind of fun to watch on a daily basis. And that's just one of our many projects that Jeff and his team are overseeing. As we look at implementing these middle school and elementary attendance boundaries, and as we talk about some of the concerns, I just want to let the board know that we have granted no exceptions to the attendance boundaries that we have set. That was our intent with the policy, that any areas that are impacted by redistricting will not have intra-district open enrollment. It would be unfair for us to weight different parent concerns, different needs. For us in the Dublin City Schools, we believe that all 5 of our middle schools provide the services needed for any student who's in the Dublin City School, with very few exceptions. We may have a hearing impaired program or a visually impaired program that is at one location due to the services we provide and where we choose that to be. Mr. Andrus and his team may lead some specific behavior programs at specific buildings. But we need to get to the point, and by next year, I believe we will be to the point that you go to school in the attendance area where you live. And we don't grant exceptions. And that is the fair and equitable way for us to do this. Also throw in that it's the anonymous email season. And when we get the anonymous emails, we do read them. If there is an immediate critical safety issue, we will follow up and look into that. But if it's just general complaints, if it's just something that's not an immediate safety issue, then we read it and we move on. So we encourage parents that if you have a concern, that we need you to do what we ask our students to do, and that's to take responsibility, to contact the appropriate person in our district, and to have those conversations. I think it's important, though, just for all of you to know that we are consistent. I know, and we appreciate when you send us concerns that are sent to you about attendance boundaries, about what services are at what schools. And our team has been extremely intentional in our consistent application of our processes. Spring athletics, we had the 4x8 team at Jerome for the boys play state runners up. We had too many successful things for us to list, but just some of those highlights were Jerome's boys lacrosse making it to the regional finals. Scioto baseball and Scioto softball had successful seasons. Kaufman's track and Kaufman's girls lacrosse also had extremely successful seasons. We are proud of our student athletes, our coaches, and we know the dedication it takes to get to this final level. Many of these sports went on beyond the end of the school year, went on past graduation, and that commitment is elite, and that's why these students have seen such high levels of success. State budget, the Senate is considering amendments to their draft budget, which was released last week. We anticipate a final Senate vote on their budget next week, and then it goes to conference committee, and that's really where the sausage will be made. The conference committee will consider the budget that the House passed, the budget that the Senate will eventually pass. And as of today, there's nothing that's final in this process. As a district, we'll adapt and adjust as required to any foreseen changes that come this way. Right now, the Senate budget is slightly more favorable for Dublin than the House version of the budget. We are, and we continue to have concerns about the responsible staffing plan is putting us in a place that we're able to pivot if needed when it comes to proactively staffing to a place where we are still hopeful that with the 5-year forecast that Mr. Kern and Mr. Hodges presented at our last meeting, the ultimate goal is to stay off the ballot till 2028 unless something goes sideways with this biennial budget. Any questions or comments that I can answer for the board? Okay, I'll be back with the HR report a little bit later.
Okay, great, thank you. Moving on to reports and action items from the Treasurer's Office. Mr. Hodges.
There are 2 items on the agenda for you tonight. The first is approval of donations, and there are 5 here for you. The Stephen Romanelli Memorial Scholarship Fund donated $20,000 to Jerome High School for their Principals Fund. Glacier Ridge PTO donated $2,500 to Glacier Ridge Elementary for a Bloom's subscription. They also donated $2,350 to purchase T-shirts for Glacier Ridge Start Hello for the next school year for students and staff. And then the Dublin Community Bands donated $2,000 for the music department to purchase drums. And then the DEP PTO donated $17,125 for the DEP Elementary to build a shade structure on the playground. Moving on to the financial report. So with 1 month left, we are on target with the exception of our capital outlay and our purchase services. These are coming in a little bit higher than anticipated, and that's just due to the timing of the payments. And that's all I have tonight. Are there any questions?
There being no questions, it's recommended by the treasurer that the board approve items 5B and 5C. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Messick. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Gillis. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Messick,
Yes.
Mrs. Gillis,
Yes.
Mr. Valentine,
Yes.
Mrs. De Silva,
Yes.
Mrs. Rigby.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Reports from the Department of Academics and Student Learning. Mrs. Marple, are you on tonight? Or, sorry, didn't know who was giving the report.
We have no reports this evening.
Yeah, no reports from academics tonight.
All righty. That brings us to the Department of Operations. Mr. Stark.
Good evening. I only have one item for approval tonight. This is the last of our series for this year to build next year about roofs. As you know, we've come to the board continuously about different roofs. A lot of our roofs in the district are 25, 30, 35 years old, and it's around that time that we're starting to repair them, replace them. So this is two items. One is to approve a proposal from Mays Engineering. Mays Engineering firm has been fantastic to work with. They've been actually redesigning our roofs, so not only do when we replace them, they're also redesigned, more efficient. And this is to add Thomas Elementary and Wright Elementary, to redesign both roofs and put together construction documents to bid those out later this year. Also, as a preventative measure, with all of our roofs getting older, there's a piece on here for infrared. The infrared, what they do is they can scan the roof and they see if there's water underneath it, you know, how much is in the insulation, and that's what usually causes us a lot of the issues. So what they would do over the next few months is scan a lot of the roofs that we haven't replaced to find out where there's water and where there isn't, and that will help us build a priority list for 27, 28, and 29 as we begin to repair and correct more roofs. So that said, if the board approves this tonight, that means next summer we'll be replacing roofs at Kaufman, Wyandotte, Grizel, Thomas, and Wright. And we plan to start publicly bidding these at the end of August, and we're not bidding them all together for a variety of purposes, but we'll be to the board August, September, and October, hopefully with award bids for these roofs.
I just have one question. How often do you have to do the infrared? I mean, how often is that recommended to do that?
It really depends upon the roof and the age of the roof. And the roofs they have, I think there's 18 that they're looking at, are all older roofs that we're a little concerned about. So that's why we wanted to find out where the water's at, because some of them can easily be covered by our warranty, some of them not. So that's why we wanted to go ahead and do it. So for example, these new roofs that we're putting on, we wouldn't even think about doing it for 5 to 10 years at least before we look for problems.
Thank you. Any other questions? It is recommended by the superintendent that the board approve item 8A, the resolution to the Mays agreement. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Valentine. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. De Silva. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Valentine,
Yes.
Mrs. De Silva,
Yes.
Mrs. Gillis,
Yes.
Mrs. Messick,
Yes.
Mrs. Rigby.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Reports from Human Resources. Dr. Marshausen.
Thank you. You will find in front of you a copy of our substitute fill rate for this past school year. I'd like to thank Mr. Boney and the entire HR department. As you will see, we are 2% higher on our licensed fill rate. And I know Mrs. O'Connor back there and I have had conversations over the years. It has been an ongoing stat conversation, and we're very grateful to the work that's been done by our HR team to ensure that when teachers are absent, we are able to have substitutes covering for them. Also, thanks to Mrs. Marple and her team, we have been strategic in where we put PD and on what days we put professional development, trying not to put it on those Mondays and Fridays when it's harder to get substitutes, which has had us move some things around. But again, being intentional has really helped with our substitute fill rates. So on tonight's agenda, we have a couple of administrative retirements, which we'll have back for rehire at our next board meeting. In addition to my name, you'll see Kathy Parker-Jones and Mike Ulring, effective July 31, 2025. We also have 2 new hires to recommend to the board tonight. Lauren Devine has been offered the position of Curriculum Coordinator for Literacy and Humanities. That will be effective on August 1st. She currently serves as a K-12 district instructional coach in Marysville, where she's worked for the past 9 years. Lauren will be filling the position previously held by Gina Seaman, who is returning to Bailey Elementary as their elementary building principal. We are also recommending Tara Ollinger. Tara is with us tonight as our community outreach specialist for the Dublin schools. She'll be filling the spot held by Keyburn Grady. She is currently a content manager at Ology, and thank you, and had the opportunity to interview Tara. Very excited about her joining our team and the skill set that she brings to the Dublin City Schools. We have 2 certified resignations along with 8 new hires in the section of the agenda tonight. We're nearly finished with certified hires for the start of the 25-26 school year. There are a few summer school hires and special education summer school hires for your approval, making sure this area is properly staffed for the work that's now happening. We have 2 leaves of absence requested for next school year that require your approval, and the supplementals on tonight's agenda are for next school year's athletic events and the beginning of school-based and club activities for next year as well. On the classified agenda, you'll see that there are 5 resignations on tonight's agenda, along with 1 retirement. Gracie Mace is retiring as a transportation special education bus aide with 12 years experience in the district. There are 9 new hires, and most of the rest of this part of the agenda is for special education summer school, along with substitutes who will assist in this area. Stipends on the agenda tonight. There is 1 stipend for 1 staff member. This is to revise an online semester-long health course in order to capture current curriculum and updates. And that concludes the HR portion of tonight's agenda. And yes, he did leave me a script.
You nailed the closing line, so I thought maybe you had it written down. If there are no questions, it is recommended by the superintendent to approve items 10A through 10C. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. De Silva. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Gillis. And again, welcome to Tara. Congratulations. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. De Silva,
Yes.
Mrs. Gillis,
Yes.
Mr. Valentine,
Yes.
Mrs. Messick,
Yes.
Mrs. Rigby.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Items for board discussion or future agenda items.
I would be remiss not to mention that the first reading for primary and secondary handbooks is included in the academic and student services portion of the agenda. We anticipate action at our next meeting. And just a note, the next meeting is on a Thursday. That is for our finance team. Having that meeting as late as possible in June allows our finance department to get the year closed out and the budget for next year loaded. So hopefully we can do 1 budget approval and appropriations, as well as close out the 25 fiscal year. So Mr. Hodges and his team and Mr. Kern will be working to get that all ready so we can have appropriations ready for the June 26th board meeting.
Okay. If there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Gillis,
Second.
second by Mr. Valentine. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The meeting is adjourned.